Alright, today I will be presenting on the topic of how airplanes are manufactured. I will break down this process step by step during this speech. As I am presenting on the steps of the process, I will also be breaking the steps down in finer detail. I became interested in the process of airplane manufacturing when I took a trip to a Spirit plant. During the trip, I saw the process from beginning to end. It fascinated me to see all the little parts that each individual had to do for the airplane to be manufactured correctly. The first major step in the manufacturing process is manufacturing the parts to the correct size for the fuselage. A fuselage is a main part of the airplane. The different materials that are used in manufacturing parts are aluminum alloy, titanium, and stainless steel. On the left, this is aluminum alloy, and that is kind of a diagram of how a airplane would be modeled. And then this is a sheet of titanium that they would use. There are other materials being used as well to build parts. These materials consist of composite materials. According to Airbus, they are starting to use glare material. This is alternate layers of aluminum alloy and glass fiber reinforced adhesive. This allows the aircraft to be lighter in weight and not become as damaged over time. Also, magnesium alloy is starting to make its way into the spotlight as a metal to be used in the future due to its lightweight properties. The different materials have to be bent to the curvature of the fuselage. After this step, the metal or skin is formed to its final shape by a 5-axis computerized numeric controlled tooling machine. This is a 5-axis computerized numeric tooling machine here. They would take the dimensions that they want the skin to be, and they would type it in this computer, and then the machine would do the rest of the work of the bending. Once the skin is produced, the skin is sprayed with an anti-corrosion treatment. Once the parts are fabricated, then the fuselage assembly can begin. At this point in time, the skins are applied to the fuselage by the use of a technique called riveting. On this slide, you can see a man doing riveting jobs on a piece of skin that would then be applied to the side of a fuselage. Once the parts are fabricated, once the riveting of the skins process is complete, you would then have a completed fuselage segment. Here on this slide, you can see robots on the inside of a completed fuselage segment doing some last second riveting jobs that it would take a human to do a lot longer than what the robot does. Now that the fuselage segment on this page here is a fuselage segment that is fully completed and ready to be shipped to a different part of the plant to be connected to the rest of the airplane. On this page here is a actually completed fuselage that has the whole fuselage pieces connected to each other by riveting and bolting. Now that the fuselage segment is completed, a sealant is applied to it. The sealant is applied to prevent any leaking and help make cabin pressurization possible. At this point in time, like I said again, this is now a completed fuselage. After the sealant is finished, the finished fuselage segments are put together by riveting and bolting. Now that there is a completed fuselage segment, the crew can start to run wires and other equipment through the airplane. Other major equipment would consist of ducts, hydraulic systems, and valves. Since all these previous steps have been completed, and if they are done correctly, then the last step of assembly can begin. The fuselage will now be painted according to the customer's request of color. Here are several workers painting, which would look like a tail wing, to go on an airplane. And they have giant rooms that they wheel all the parts into, and they start painting on them. They have also the fuselages are painted according to the customer's request of colors they want. On the left, that is an example of Southwest Airlines, and on the right, you have Continental Airlines. Once the painting process is completed, the main components can be applied to the fuselage. Major components of an airline would be the wings, engines, stabilizers, and the landing gear. On the right, here's an example of a landing gear. And on the left, that would be a completed airliner, but they are slowly putting on the wings to the airplane. At this point in time, now the airplane is fully built, the controls and systems are tested on the ground, then the plane will be taken to the air for a test flight. This would finish off the manufacturing process. These would be the final touches as this is where the avionics systems would be tested on the ground. On the left, these are the example of avionics, and then on the right, this would be a flight control system that self-explanatory would help control the plane. Now that like I said earlier, after all that would be applied, then they would take it onto the ground and test all the flight systems down there, and then they would take it on for a test flight. I hope now you, as my audience, understand why I was interested in the process. I also hope you, as my audience, now understand the process of how an airplane is manufactured and the materials that are used when manufacturing an aircraft. Now, the next time you see an airplane or take a flight in one, you'll understand how it was manufactured and the materials that were used in that process. Here are a list of the references that I got all my information from. And now you can see my audience. That is Mason, Casey, Blake, Michael, and Brady.